So here we're going to discuss about virtual machine scale set. So what is a virtual machine scale set? What is it? അറിയുന്ന പറഞ്ഞു
to increase the when the traffic increasing at that time another
okay to scaling and scale out instances. See, automatically it will do the work. See, whenever you're getting high workload, automatically it will increase the VM capacity. So initially you can see that I have only 3 virtual machine. So consider, so I'm getting a lot of workload, automatically it will create one more virtual machine. Okay, then it will distribute the traffic among this fleet of instances or virtual machine. Okay, so for that we have to create virtual machine scale set. So suppose consider you have only one virtual machine and that you created manually by the help of VM console. Okay, so this VM doesn't have any capability to scale up and scale down or scale out and scale in. You getting? If you want to increase the capacity of your virtual machine, for that you have to create virtual machine scale set or VM scale set. In AWS we'll call it as auto scaling. Okay, so we have to create an auto scaling group for that. Then we have to put all instances into that, or else we have to create an image. Same as here, we will create a image. Okay, image in the sense one template. So whenever you're getting new workload or high workload or heavy workload, so this group or this auto scale set will be create one more virtual machine. Okay. Okay. So as of now, you can see that I have only one virtual machine over here. So we can set minimum and maximum and desired count or initial count. So which means, for example, when you're creating a scale set, so how many instances you want in that group? Okay, so consider I will create 2 instances initially, and so maximum I can select up to 10, and it will create 10 instances when I'm getting workload. Okay, so first we will go to Azure portal, then we'll try to create one virtual machine scale set. Let's see how we can do that. So I'll go to Azure portal. So instead of selecting virtual machine, so we have to select virtual machine scale set. You can search virtual machine scale set from here itself. VM scale set or virtual machine scale set. So you can see that virtual machine scale set. So just click on that. So already I have a virtual machine scale set that you can see over here in East US region, right? I'll just click on create. Okay. So as usual, how we are creating virtual machine, the same as we have to select resource group. Then we have to select virtual machine scale set name instead of virtual machine name. So I'll give VM scale set 2. So we can select one of the region, West US, and you can see that in West US actually we don't have any availability zones, right? So there are certain region only support availability zone. So if there is a no availability zone, then you can go with the availability sets. So what is availability set? Yesterday we were discussing about that. What is availability sets? See, we can create multiple fault domain and update domain. So then we can enhance the availability of our virtual machine. That's what, right? See, there are some region so those region will not support availability zone or zonal redundancy. So at that time we can create availability set. Okay, if it is not supporting zone redundancy, then we can go with the zonal redundancy. Okay, fine. So I will select West US, or else you can select any other region. I'm going to select East US, because East US actually it's a very cheap. Okay, so we don't need to pay much amount for that. Okay, so East US that is supporting availability zone. If you want, you can select multiple available zone. And when you're creating virtual machine or when you're getting workload, automatically instances will be created across your availability zone. Consider you selecting 2 available zone, then randomly it will select one of the available zone. Virtual machine available zone 1, available zone 2, like that. Okay, so let me select one available zone, that's a 2. Fine. So next we have 2 method. One is a uniform, another one is a flexible. So that we will discuss later. Okay, so consider if you having any workload and you want to increase your capacity. So if you select uniform, that will create only one kind of instance. For example, only that will create E series instance or B series instance. Okay, so those instances will be have one virtual CPU and 1 gigabyte RAM. But if you selecting flexible, so that is going to create one E series, another one is a BSF3. Okay, for example, one instances will be have one virtual CPU, 1 gigabytes memory. Another will be have 2 gigabytes memory and 2 virtual CPU. Randomly it will create. Okay, but if you want, you can select uniform or flexible. So that is according to your workload. Achieve high availability at scale with identical or multiple virtual machine types. Okay, you getting the concept, right? Okay, so what about uniform? What does it mean? It will create same kind of size. For example, only B series, only one virtual CPU, then 1 gigabits memory. Okay, fine. So next security type we can select standard. So we have a many option: trusted launch virtual machine and confidential virtual machine. Okay, according to the workload and security. Okay, what environment you handling. So according to you can select. I'm going to select standard. So beneath you have to select image option. So I'm going to select Ubuntu. Size you can select D2, SV3, whatever you want. I will select authentication type as password. So next disk. Okay. So you can select one of the disk. I have been already selected one disk. Next I'll go to networking. In networking, you have to select your right virtual network. So it's creating. You can see that till now I didn't create any virtual network. Okay. So I'll select one of the virtual network. Then you can select the subnet. Automatically it's selected. Fine. So next, see if you have already load balancer, then you can just click over here and it will be integrated with the load balancer as well. Then later you only need to access the load balancer DNS name. Then you will be able to access all the virtual machine. Okay. So consider this scenario. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. As of now, I have a 4 virtual machine, right? So this 4 virtual machine will be have a 4 different public IP address and private IP address, right? Then how to access a specific instance? Sorry, how to access this all instance at a time? So we cannot, right? So the user cannot by heart this all IP address. So instead of that, so we going to attach one load balancer over here. Then this load balancer will be distribute the traffic among the fleet of virtual machines. Only one link, the user will be get only one access link. For example, www.xyz.com. Okay, and it will be redirected to these all virtual machines. And we were using some random algorithms. For example, 5 tuples and 2 tuples and flow hash algorithms and round robin. These all are algorithms. Okay, based on this algorithm, first the request will become to virtual machine 1. So if the user is refreshing the page again, automatically it will come to virtual machine 2. Again it will come to virtual machine 3, 4. So that's a round robin. Okay, we'll discuss that while we're discussing load balancer. Okay, so I'll go to virtual machine SacelSet again. Then I will select scaling option. Under scaling option, you can see that initial instance count, that is a 2. See, for example, when you want to create a virtual machine SacelSet, you have to select initial count, minimum and maximum. What is the initial count? Starting. See, while you creating this virtual machine SacelSet, how many instances you want? Okay, so consider. So I'm just going to create a virtual machine SacelSet. Suppose if I'm selecting initial count, that is a 1. So that is going to create one virtual machine. Okay, and I'm selecting minimum 1. So that is set minimum is 1, which means even if you don't have any workload, so that will keep one virtual machine. You getting? So consider I'm creating initial count as 2 virtual machine and minimum as 1. Then what happened in the sense, it will create 2 virtual machine. But after 5 minutes, automatically it will terminate this virtual machine because actually we don't have any workload. That's what it will remove this virtual machine and it will keep minimum as 1. Okay, and we can set maximum as well. So maximum means it will never go above this threshold value. For example, I'm setting maximum 5. Okay, so whatever the workload you're getting, maximum it can go up to 5. That's it. Okay, so let me go to my SacelSet again. Then I'll just set initial count, that is 2, or else we can select 3 as well. So let me select 3. So next, scaling policy. As we discussed, we have a 2 kind of policy. One is a manual scaling, another one is auto scaling. So if you put auto scaling, automatically it will scale out and scale. Okay, so let me select auto scaling. So minimum number of instances, I'm selecting 1, which means even if I don't have any workload, it will never go below this threshold value. Okay, so I'm going to select 1, and maximum that we can select 5. Okay, and we have some metrics as well. See, scale based on CPU metrics. For example, if you want to create any metrics, for example, if CPU is above 50% and I want to scale out one instance. Okay, or else we can go with the scale based on schedule. Schedule in the sense time, we can schedule a date and time. For example, next Saturday at 10 o'clock. So I expecting a lot of traffic because actually we have a one rapid fire, like I say, whatever it can be. Okay, so at that time user will be able to access my server. So I'm expecting more workload. So at that time I need to enhance my capacity. So we can go with a scale based on schedule. So if you select manually, see, if you select manually, we have to increase the capacity. For example, see, minimum number of instance 1, right? What is the initial count? 3. You have to select 6, then you have to update your auto scale group. Manually we have to do that. Okay. So I will select 3. I'll go down. Then I will select scale based on CPU metrics. Then I will select CPU threshold. If CPU is above or equal to 75% and duration 10 minutes, what is it? Now, if it is retaining 10 minutes, for example, and you getting continuously 75% CPU consumption 10 minutes, continuous 10 minutes, okay, then you need to increase one capacity, or else you can add 2 capacity. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 capacity. If CPU is above or equal to 75% for next 10 minutes, then it will increase 1 capacity. Okay, same as CPU threshold below or equal to 25%, then it should be decrease 1 capacity. Simple. That's it. Then I'll come down the next management. Okay, nothing is there. Then I'll go with the next health check. Okay, so this we will discuss while we discussing load balancer, health checking and all. Okay, because they want to check whether the application is active or not. Okay, that's what we'll discuss that later. The next advanced. So after tags is important while you go production. Okay, next review plus create. So it's when for the validation. Once it validates, then I'll try to create this auto scale set, and by default we'll be have a 3 virtual machine inside that auto scale set. Okay. So validation successfully passed. Let's create a virtual machine. For this instance, by default they wouldn't have any public API address. Okay, but even though if there doesn't have any public API address, the user will be able to access. How? No. See, if you don't have any public API address, nobody can access, right? So default true that is acting inside network. Then how it's working? See, consider this is my virtual network. Okay. Through load balancer. Okay. So this is my virtual network, and I will create 2 private subnet, and I deployed my auto scale set inside this private subnet. See, virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3. Okay. And this is my public subnet, and when you creating load balancer, you're going to create load balancer in public subnet. Okay, and this load balancer that is pointing on this auto scale set. See, here you can see that my load balancer that is in the public subnet, right? And this is pointing this auto scale set. So we will be have a backend pool in a load balancer. In backend pool we will add this auto scale set. Okay, so this load balancer will be have a DNS name, public DNS name, since this is in public subnet. Okay, so consequently you can use the public DNS name or a public IP address, then you will be able to access your auto scale set, even if you don't have any public IP address for your virtual machine. Okay, successfully it's created. Let me go to resource. VM scale set 2, the name you can see over here. I'll go to overview. Under overview, you can see that all the related informations. I'll go to instances, and here you can see that instance 1, instance 2, instance 3. Succeeded provisioning state successfully completed. Right? And if you click over here, and you can connect your instance as well. See, overview. If you want to connect your virtual machine, you can just click on connect. Then you can select bastion host. So first you have to create a bastion host for that. Then you can connect your virtual machine as well. So what is the initial count? 3, right? What is the minimum? 1. So after a couple of minutes, so automatically it will analyze the traffic and metrics. If there is a no traffic, like if there is a no like hike above 25% or below 25%, it will take a decision. It will remove one by one. Okay? Because as of now we don't have any traffic, right?
create time